This video is for entertainment purposes only. And we have May 7th, 2018. I'm going to be putting a battery in the 1999 Yamaha V Max. And the battery is about 4 years old. And it is ready for a change. This bike is in pretty good shape. It definitely is not a beginner's bike. The bike is pretty heavy. And it has a lot of torque. But this is just kind of a look around the bike here. Last year I did not ride this thing at all, which was a shame. And let's just check out the mileage here. We have 9,361 miles. So let's get busy and get the battery in this thing. So most batteries on motorcycles are located underneath the side cover, but this one happens to be located underneath the seat. So it's a little bit more involved to install. Now what I'm going to do is lift the backrest up, and to do that there's a lever on each side. You just stick your fingers down here and push down, and the backrest flips up, and that exposes a couple bolts we have to take off. And so we'll get the first bolt out right here. And we'll put that aside so I don't lose it. This one here, the next bolt is located right here, and that's a little bit more difficult to get to, but not impossible. Let me set that down. Okay, we'll set this bolt aside. And now we'll head over to the other side and do the same thing. That's the easy one to get to. And at some time, someone must have replaced that other bolt on the other side. They probably lost it, because this is a different size here. They definitely don't make it easy to get to, but I guess if everything in life was easy, it would be boring. Nope. And if you think it looks like a challenge to take them out, wait till I get to put them back in. I don't ride this bike much, so unfortunately that's pretty hard in the battery. I do have a battery tender that I keep it on. Okay, we're just about there. Nope. I'm not even sure if you had one of those ratcheting wrenches if you could get it in there. It is pretty tight. Nope, there just is no room. But eventually, with some patience, it will come out. There we go. Now this backrest should just lift right out along with the seat. And we'll set that aside in the cardboard. And now we have the seat off there. We can see we have the two coil packs here. We have the spark plug wires coming out, and those are going to the cylinders. Let's see what else we can see. We've got the flasher right here. There's the turn signal flasher. And the first thing I'm going to do is we have the negative battery lead right here. Yep, I guess you can see my finger pointing at it. And I'm going to disconnect that. So I'm going to take all the power away from the bike by connecting the negative battery lead. And we can see the one coil pack here. And let me just pull this insulating boot away. And I'll take my little nut driver here. And be very careful I don't drop the battery bolt. Got it right there. And let me take the negative wire there and just tuck it off to the side. I'm going to put that insulating boot in between the battery post and the negative wire. Okay, and now over here we have the positive battery post, and we'll remove the insulating wire right, or the insulating boot right there, and then come in and remove the bolt, battery bolt. Even though the negative wire is disconnected, I still try not to touch any metal. And let's make sure I don't drop the bolt into the bike. And I have the battery cable right here, and then I have my battery tender cable right there. And if you don't know what a battery tender is, that is a battery charger that you hook on. It's kind of a on-demand type charger. If the battery voltage drops below a certain voltage, it'll start throwing a charge to the battery. One of the worst things you can do to a lead-acid battery is let the charge go down on it. A lead-acid battery likes a full charge. So if you go a month or so between rides, it's nice to have a battery tender on it. It keeps the battery voltage up. Better for the battery, and then when you want to ride, you know you've got a fully charged battery. Okay, so now we have the power disconnected from the battery. Now we have to take this coil pack off. So I'm just going to disconnect these electrical connectors. I have a white one there. They don't give you a lot of room to work. And a yellow one there. And if we go to the negative battery side, we have the same thing. We have a white one. And a yellow one. It's amazing how nice everything is. I mean, this is a 1999. And everything is just nice. And now I'm going to remove the spark plug wires from the coil packs. And I just simply take these little plastic nuts here and unscrew them. And I'll do it one per cylinder. And then the wires should just pull right out, like so. And then I'll remove the 2 bolts holding the coil packs on. And now the coil pack should just slide back. There we go. And we'll just flip it over. Now you can see right here that I have my battery tender fused. When I got my battery tender, there was not a fuse on this line, and so I added a fuse to it just in case the wire would short out. It'll blow the fuse. So we can see we've got our battery unhooked, we've got the coil pack out of the way. Now things should be easy, you would think, but if you look here, we have to get the battery out. We have all this stuff in the way here, and we have a strap that I have to remove yet. So I'm going to go ahead and try to take the rubber strap off. There we go. And now I have to try to push these connectors out of the way to give this battery some space to come out. So now I pretty well got everything tucked out of the way, but you can see I can't get my hand in here to lift that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take the bolts that I took out of the battery, and I'm going to screw them back in. And that's going to give me something to grab onto. Now, if I was smart, I'd go out and get some longer bolts so I'd have longer posts to grab onto. But I'm just going to try this and see how this works. And sure enough, I think I can get it up. Yep. I can grab the battery and take it right out. And there's one thing here right in the side here. This is a battery vent hose right here. And as I put the new battery in, I'm going to have to connect this vent hose up too. That takes all the gases that are produced when the battery's charging and routes them out of this compartment here down into the atmosphere down below. So I have my battery prepped and ready to go in. I have the battery I bought came dry charged, so you actually add acid to the battery, which was included with it. So I have the battery filled, I have the battery charged. They also include the hardware to attach the battery cables. And basically what they do is they give you a bottom nut there and a bolt, and the nut just slides in, and then you take the bolt and put it in from the top. But what I found out is a lot of times these things will slide and fall out as you're putting the battery in, or once you get the battery in and you install these, it's hard to get the bolt started because these are laying right at the bottom. And so what I do, and this is just me, I'm not saying anyone else should do it, is I just cut out little pieces of cardboard here, and I'll stick them in. And then I'll take the lower nut there and stick that in. Now that actually is going to stay right in place. So as I come in with the bolt, that's held up high, and I can get the bolt started pretty easy. And I can have them in as I lower the battery, so I don't have to fight with them. Let's see, that one went in a little too far, so get my knife out here. We'll push him back out. There we go. Okay, now I'm ready to put the battery in. As I lower the battery, I have to remember to hook up my vent hose. And now I'm going to try to get the battery in. And as tight as the battery fits, I have the vent tube in my hand here. So as the battery goes down, I can hook the vent tube up. Fortunately, got my needle nose already on hand here. Grab it just a little bit more. Well, let's see here. Everything is so tight. But this is where patience comes in again. There we go. Okay, so now I have my vent hose hooked on the side there, and we'll continue pushing it down. Making sure that I'm not pinching anything, which we have the negative battery cable on this side. And let me get my helpful needle nose pliers out here. There we go. Now, we should be able to drop the battery in place, I hope. It just feels like I'm hanging up on something here. Oh, I see. I gotta pull my vent hose down a little bit. Okay, let me take a look and see. I think I'm hanging up on something. Let me take a closer look. So I ended up pulling it back out and putting it back in. Something just didn't feel right to me. And so I wanted to double check and make sure everything was okay. It actually was okay, but I feel better now that I know it's okay. So now it's time to start hooking some of the stuff back up. The first thing I got to do is I have to rehook this strap up here. And so I'll stretch it out. There we go. That's going to hold the battery in place. And then I'll just flip the ignition coils over and kind of feed them back into position. And get all the connectors out from underneath. Got that, we got that, okay. So now what I'm going to do is bolt this coil back down. Now, before I get too involved here, I'm going to get stuff routed right. That went under there before. And I'm going to double check and make sure there's nothing that's going to be pinching. And that looks good. So we'll tighten it down. And now I can start plugging in connectors. And now I can put in spark plug wires. And I'll push that in and make sure it seats firmly. And we have that wire seated nice. So we'll tighten the retaining nut on it. Oops. Here we go. It's never a good thing usually when you say oops, but in this case it's not too bad. Okay, so we have that nice and tight. And let me just check this cable here. See if there's a better way. I like that right there and right there. I'm happy with that. See if I can't just tuck that down there. Okay, now it's time to hook up the positive battery cable. And you want to hook up the positive cable first, because if you touch anything with the negative cable hooked up, if you touch anything on the positive cable to ground, you're going to get a shock or a spark, an arc. So I'll take my screw back out. And now you can see with the cardboard holding that nut up there, that should help me out. That nut isn't going to slide and move all around, so it should make it easy to get the bolt started. I'm going to check the cables here. You know what? I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup on the bottom of this cable here. I just sprayed a little battery cleaner onto the bottom of this rag here, and we're just going to dab the cable up. And we can see it cleaned up pretty nice. And now let me get the dry part of it. Well, you know, as long as I'm at it, I'm just going to get my knife out and just do a little scraping in case there's any corrosion left. That looks pretty good. Now I'll check my battery tender cable, and that's good. Okay, let's get the battery hooked up here, and the one thing I make sure of is that you can just barely see my finger right over here. I've got my negative battery cable tucked away and tucked into this insulated boot, tucked away from the negative cable. I don't want to short anything out, so you will take the battery tender cable, any positive battery cable, and let's see if I can get this started here. And this is where putting that piece of cardboard underneath to hold that nut up really helps. It holds it into place and makes it easy to start. And let's see, I've got that started there. I'm just going to do a preliminary tightening here with the screwdriver. There we go. And then I will come in with my wrench here, or my ratchet, I should say. And let's get on there, and we'll tighten that up. There we go. And now I'll put my insulating boot back over the positive wire there. And let's take a look. Oh, that's going to be nice with everything tucked in like that. And now let's get the negative battery cable on. And I've already taken a little battery cleaner and cleaned this cable. They actually were really good. And I'll put the bolt through the battery tender, the negative side, and through the negative battery cable. And now let's see if I can get this thing pushed in to the battery here. There we go. I think I'm started, yep. So now I'll take my wrench. Now see, if I touch my wrench to any of the frame here, I'm not going to get a spark or shock or anything happening. And we'll get that tight. And we'll put the battery guard over it. There, now the new battery is installed. And now we're ready to put the seat back on. Putting the seat back on is kind of a struggle. I've done that a couple times, but like I say, if you're going to work on your own stuff, you got to have patience. So let's get to it. Okay, let me grab the seat. And we'll bring it over and work it down. And I got to get my bifocals on for this. And I can get my big old head in here. Ooh, that one actually went way too easy. And let me get the easy bolt started. Now I'm going over to the other side and trying to start the other bolt on the seat. Yeah, I think that started too. That is great news. But I want to run this in a little bit to make sure that it's not cross-threaded. That would be a nightmare. Oh, it feels like it started straight. And so we'll run the bolt in. Not much of a swing on the wrench, so it's going to take a little bit. This is a time when you want to sit back in your chair, maybe crack a nice cold Coca-Cola and relax. Let me do all the work. If you don't have patience, it's better to pay someone to do the job, because this really should be enjoyable. I mean, it's your motorcycle, and think about all the times you get on your VMAX and then go out and give those Mustangs a hard time. Get that tightened. And I'm coming over to the other side now. Yeah, you think you got a new battery in there, that should be good for at least a couple more years. And we'll tighten the last bolt on the backrest there. There we go. And now let's see how good that battery is. We'll try to get this thing running. This is the first time it's run this year. And there you have it, 1999 Yamaha V Max.